Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I got a comment from a subscriber, which I'll show you guys here, which reminded me of a point that needs to be raised from time to time. And this idea that when something is shown and there's data that shows that doing something a certain way will slightly reduce your gains, and it doesn't even have to be about muscle gains, guys. It could be about any goal that you have in life. When something is studied and looked at and it impedes your ability to achieve a certain goal just slightly, the fact that you've made progress towards that goal personally doesn't undo the data, and it doesn't mean that that thing didn't slow you down a little bit. Now, in this case, we're talking about fasted training. And it is accepted, the data shows it. There are plenty of researchers in the field of exercise science who've looked at this and studied it, and they have concluded that training fasted will slightly reduce the amount of muscle that you gain. And doing your cardio fasted, if you're using it for fat loss, will slightly impede the amount of fat that you lose. This is a no-brainer. It's actually been studied pretty heavily. And now the thing with the fasted cardio, remember, that's without drugs coming into the mix. Drugs can absolutely change it. I'm talking about guys who are totally drug-free, no fat burners, no anabolics, anything. Now, that being said, you'll see people who say things like this person did to kind of imply, well, hey, I still reached my goals doing it. But it's kind of like saying, well, you know what, you could go adjust the tuning of your fuel injection in your car and make it too rich, and it might impede your gas mileage by 10%, and you might lose 3% of your horsepower if you do that. And then guys would come in and say, no, I did that, and my car still gets okay gas mileage and has okay horsepower. I get where I'm wanting to go, and I don't break my budget on my gas. So therefore, you're wrong. But that doesn't change the fact that you still lost gas mileage and lost horsepower. You were not efficient. You weren't optimal. You could have done better. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. That's the thing when it comes down to these things. Just like if I were to say, hey, if you only sleep 5 hours a night, for whatever reason, it might be by your personal choice, it might be due to stress, it might be because of your job and family life. But if I say you'll probably gain slightly less muscle than if you had slept more hours, 7 or 8 hours, you will invariably get a guy who comes in and says, no, I gained muscle, but I gained muscle while doing that, so you're wrong. And it doesn't work that way, guys. And you know what the thing is? Not only does it not prove the data wrong just because you made some progress, how do you know you wouldn't have made a little more progress had you slept the 8 hours? How do you know you wouldn't have gained 2 or 3 more ounces of muscle in the last year had you trained after eating carbs? And so therefore reaching a goal doesn't prove that. And you know what? Just because you did it a different way, there's no moral judgment there, guys. So if I make that statement, there's no need to validate yourself and say, hey, he's saying I'm stupid or that I'm a bad person, because I'm not. You know what? If you train fasted for whatever reason it is, it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you an idiot. It doesn't mean anything negative other than that's a choice that you made. Maybe it was an uninformed choice. Maybe you're fasting for other reasons. Maybe you have religious reasons why you fast. Maybe you have therapeutic reasons why you fast. You might have a medical condition that does better if you fast, until 2 p.m. every day. There are quite a few medical conditions that seem to be improved by that. You might have other reasons why you did that besides gaining muscle. So at the end of the day, guys, it's important to remember that when we discuss these things and we look at research and look at data and we find out that there's 5 or 6 different ways to do something and one or another seems to work better, it doesn't mean that the others don't work at all. It doesn't mean you can't even make good progress the other way. It just means that if you removed those variables, you would probably make just a little more progress. And if you happen to don't do that, you know what? It doesn't say anything negative about you. It doesn't make you bad in any way. It's not a personal attack on you if that's the case. It's okay to do things differently than what might be considered ideal or optimal or whatever towards a goal. It's okay to do that, particularly when it's just a hobby. Most of you guys aren't competing in anything serious. You're not making your careers out of this. Your income's not based around it. So you know what? If you want to do something a little different, it really isn't that big of a deal. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.